kind of hanging out back there like, they're just going to fall off the boat. When you all are working together and working hard, the people who don't want to will go away. And I really, truly believe that. And I've seen it happen. When you get healthy, the sick people will leave. I don't know if that's the best way to put it, but do you know what I'm saying?
It makes sense. Yeah, it definitely makes sense.
Yeah. Just like on any team, right? Right?
I don't know, honestly. I don't know. I did an interview one time and this woman was talking about how they practiced vulnerability as a culture, and I realized, I was like, I don't know that I've ever been in a great, I don't know if I've ever worked in an organization that had good, it's on camera, I don't care, that had
I've been
supervision. You know what I mean? That had like supervision that was like thought out.
Right,
and
mission
it was like
and vision.
Mission and vision, where it was like, I mean, most of the organizations I work for were just very much like, we're in crisis mode all the time.
Yeah.
And we just put out fires. That's what we do.
Yes.
And so
We do that too.
That is not necessarily a great way of doing supervision. I've also seen like where they'll create fires because that's the only thing they know how to do. They only know how to deal with fires, so they just kind of create the new one because we don't know how to deal with a situation that doesn't have one. So I don't know. So you're asking me like, doesn't that happen? I don't know.
Right.
I can tell you.
No, I totally hear what
I can tell you that what I have seen is that when stuff gets really crazy, the people who are really good leave.
Right.
Which makes me think that if they continue to be crazy, who you're going to be left with are people who are, one, can't go somewhere else, or have extreme dedication to the organization that is kind of like based in something other than what's going on.
But what you're saying, though, essentially, I mean, what you're saying is the opposite of what I just said. And there are those two ends of the spectrum, right?
Yeah.
So what you're saying is a sick organization, the healthy people will leave.
Right.
In a healthy organization, the sick people will leave. And I know it's true because I've seen it. I have seen it, and I have seen people where when we really started to employ these values that I'm talking about, there were people who just weren't going to get on board.
Right.
They're just like, nope, and they just kept pushing back. And finally they decided to go get a job somewhere else, probably at one of those places you're talking about. You know what I mean?
Because the turnover in the other places is really high.
Right.
So they need people.
Right.
Right.
You keep, if you just keep being healthy, eventually
People will be drunk.
it will change. It's that sticking to itness that's hard. And the other part is you have to have, and I think this is one of the things that's really hard for community mental health places, because if you do not have a solid leadership structure, then it's hard, because if you have a leadership structure where they're the ones constantly scrambling to put out fires all the time, then they don't have time to do the kind of stuff I'm talking about. So in a sense, it's like, it's kind of like setting it up to fail if the leadership structure isn't kind of somehow separate a little bit, you know what I'm saying? Like protected, so that they can, one of the things I really appreciate about Dr. Denman, who was the psychologist that left, who was my boss, whose position I'm taking, he really focused our team on, he saw how fragmented our team was. And, part of that was personalities, and guess what? That person's gone. There was one person that was like it was like a bad apple in the, and it was creating lag for our team, and that person eventually did leave. And part of it was because we were getting healthier as a team, and the reason why we were is because he would do retreats twice a year with us, and then that disc profile I told you about, he had every single one of us do one, the supervisors. And we all came back to that meeting and we talked about, and in each one of them, so there's 4 other supervisors besides me. No, 3, and then the chief. And we were all involved in this. And this profile actually told you the communication style of your teammate and how you would, based on your personality, how best would you communicate with that person.
Wow. Yeah.
Right? So he really focused in on that and worked with us, and it made a difference. But he took the time to do it, and he was able to have the time to do it. Whereas, take Delta Center, I don't know how much time she had, but it kind of seemed like she probably didn't have the time to do stuff like that.
Probably she had any.
Right. Plus, having it be a psychologist who is more psychologically minded helps. Whereas if you have a business person, their kind of mindset might be different,
Yeah.
I talked a lot.
No, she has kids. Oh,
Yeah.
You're here to talk.
No, I'm sorry, I could listen to you all day, but no. No, my girls get out of school in 20 minutes.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay.
But
Well, I'm glad I got to talk to one person.
Thank you.
I don't want you to show that to everybody, though.
I'm not.
I probably should edit
There's
it.
2 other students.
Uh-huh.